Welcome to Project Teachers Lounge. I say this when I start every interview. Thank you for your service as a teacher. I believe teachers are superheroes because y'all have the biggest impact on our students in their route to become adults outside of their families. And even when their families might be steering them in the wrong direction, you have the ability to steer them in the right direction. I want to thank you for your service as a teacher, because I don't know how the hell y'all are doing this right now during this pandemic. Especially you, because you're one of multiple teachers who are teaching in the South. And as we know, the South tends to do things a little bit differently. This is my cousin, Kendale. He is a 6th through 8th grade science teacher, a future medical school student, host of the Double Dutch podcast, and my big little cousin, who is a teacher now. So, Kendale, how have you been?
I have been fine. I'm doing good, trying to stay safe, not being around people during this pandemic. But with teaching, have to be around kids all the time. And like where I'm teaching at right now, currently we are in person, so there's like not that much of like virtual learning. So like literally like we're just all in one big bubble.
For the other person sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was like, that's just a little stressful, but I wear 2 masks at one time to make sure I'm like doubled up, double masked up.
Excuse me. So I'm gonna get to that really quick. But I want to ask how you got into teaching. What made you want to become a teacher? How long have you been teaching? All those good questions.
Okay, I so last year I took a break after completing a post-grad program for medical school, and so I just took a year out. Then COVID happened, and so I know I was going to be home again for another year. So I was like, why don't I just dabble into teaching, because I actually like tutored throughout college and grad school. So I was like, I can probably actually be beneficial to my community. I know a lot of these kids haven't ever had like a Black teacher, and if they did have a Black teacher, it probably wasn't in like science or in like the core subjects. So like me and my friend Caitlin, she just told me about this job opportunity at the school I currently teach at. And so I had an interview. I got the job the same day, and I was just prepared to like work there because it was only like 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes away from my house, so it was like easily accessible, and it wasn't like anything out the way. And it's also like cool because like some of the kids that you probably will teach will be like your little cousins or something like that. So it's like different, like seeing your big cousin or something teach you something for school. I don't know, or just seeing someone that looks like you or represents you that can teach you and give you like a lesson where you can probably learn it in a different way or understand it differently, or even like have like the opportunity to like ask questions and feel comfortable asking questions. So like that's been very beneficial for me, like since I've been teaching. So
Hold on a second. This heat just came on. I don't know how to play with the sound. Uh, Give me a second.
okay. I love this setup. It like really came out nice. Like I don't know how you did the wall with the gold, but like that's nice.
Sorry, I left the light on and I can see it in the picture. Um, that's better. Come on, heat, go off. Thankfully, I'll be able to cut all this out, and if I don't, I'll just leave it in. But whatever. You know, technical difficulties when you're in the basement and the heater is literally right there. Um, what are you doing?
You definitely have to cut this out.
Yeah, because last time I didn't take. I did this. This happened in my interview with Amalola, who you know. Kendale went to Puerto Rico with me and Amalola years ago, so just bring it up. But yeah, it happened and it like went off super quick. Now I started playing games.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can keep going. I can probably fix it in editing. So, damn, um, yeah. So basically, you were saying that you wanted. Let me start that without making it sound like I came out of nowhere. So you became a teacher basically so you could help the community. And also, as a Black teacher, I know I went to school and we didn't go to school in the same place, but I don't think I ever had a Black teacher except in seventh grade. My seventh grade English teacher was Black, is Black. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. And other than that, I never had a Black teacher. So that's all. It's always been interesting to see. Like, I feel like there's that meme on Instagram, like, how many people? When was the first time you had a Black teacher? And Black people were like, never, or depending on you had all Black teachers. But I think it's also important to note that you also can advocate for these Black students because you have an insight to what the life they're living, whereas a lot of white teachers don't have that ability, or teachers of other ethnicities. So I think it's great that you recognize and are able to be that for the students at your school.
And my school population is, I believe, 49%, 48% Black and 49% white, and like the rest is like 1% is Hispanic and Asian. So like that's the population of the school, but there's only like 8 Black teachers, and there's only like 5 that teach in like 6th or 7th grade because we have a 5th grade that's connected to this. But yeah, it's not that many that's there to like actually teach. So
And you were saying that y'all are in person, and so Kendale's also in Southern Louisiana, like my other cousin, different cities, but he's also in person. So what has that been like to be in person? Because his story was just like, I'm like, yo, how are you still going into the school? Like, how is it like? How has it been for you going to the school? Like, take me through a day? Like, you get up, you go, you get in the car, you arrive at school. Tell me what happens after you park your car.
So, okay, so let me start with this. So it's really weird because this year, like the way we do like morning duty and stuff like that, like when we go to lunch and stuff, it's like just all completely different than what they've been doing, just because you have to like now like be with the students at all times instead of like giving them like time to go to recess and stuff like that. Like their recess is their lunch kind of, and it's like only like a 6-minute window where they like actually get to like go outside and play. So like I don't have like the previous experience to like back up like how it's different from previous years, but I remember how it was for me in junior high. And yeah, so when I get out of my car in the morning, I put my 2 masks on, put my lanyard on, make sure that I have everything with me because I just bring a book sack inside. Once I come in, we get, well, we're supposed to get temperature checked all the time when we walk in there, but like that like doesn't always happen all the time. But with the students, it happens like daily. Like they have to come through the metal detectors and they have to like check their book sacks and stuff like that to make sure they're not bringing anything like harmful to the school, I guess. And then they make sure they have their masks and their laptops and the temperature check. Um, then I go to my classroom. I let my students in, and the thing about my students is that they don't eat breakfast in the cafeteria, so they have to eat it in the classroom now. In I feel like the classrooms are super small, so like the actual distance of them apart from each other isn't like as distant as it's supposed to be. But like I guess with CDC guidelines, like it kind of works just based off of the resources we actually have at the school to make it function. So it's like I guess that's what has to happen. But they eat their food. They're able to like to put their mask down when they're eating and stuff. I'm just like, defeats the purpose. But then they go throw their food away, put their mask up. But the thing about them is that they like wear their mask under their nose. Like they let their nose be exposed the whole time. So it's like you're not really holding your nose, like you're not really protecting yourself. And like if you sneeze, your particles are going everywhere. Somebody can breathe that in. So it's just like a lot of that, and they're all like tweens, so like they're becoming teenagers and like their attitudes. So it's just like all that mixed with each other. It's just hard to kind of moderate that. But we're trying the best that we can right now. What else? We also have after every period we have like 5 minutes to disinfect all the desks, so the students just like put their like go line up at the front of the classroom while we spray each desk and wipe them down. And then this would happen between each period. We had 10 minutes at the beginning of the school year, but now we only have 5 minutes. I think we should go back to 10 minutes because that's like super hard, like to try and clean every desk, like that's 24 desks within 5 minutes. And then you have to be prepared to go teach the next class. And it's just like a lot going on. And then you're supposed to like go in the hallway to make sure that they're like coming up the stairs correctly or down the stairs correctly. So it's a lot of close contact. So it's like a lot going on at the same time. So it's just a lot of stress going on with that. I didn't expect my year to be like this, but I feel like every day I think about like when I go, like it's more than what it's just for me. Like it's like for their education because with or without pandemic, like they have to go into the next grade. They have to have the education, whatever education that they have, and they're just gonna move on. So I'd rather them actually learn something than actually just get passed on just because we're in the middle of a pandemic and people don't know what they're doing during the pandemic. You know, like that's like the kind of relief that I get from just like, okay, there's a pandemic going on, but you still have to teach these kids, and we have to kind of act like what protocol we're going on is okay when I know it's not compared to how other districts are like getting paid like $5,000 extra because of like just because the district think that teachers deserve more money because of what's going on. But then it's like your district like thinks everything is just like running smoothly and not like you put yourself at risk, but it's like you're not really caring as much as like how you see other people, even in the same state, are being treated. So it's just like, but I'm just kind of happy that it's just like I don't have to continue to be in this field because you like you mentioned at the beginning, I'm pursuing to become a physician, so I'm applying to medical school right now. So, just knowing how that is for people who are like actual educators, it actually gives me a different perspective of how their daily lives is just how I don't know, just how different it could be, and I can possibly in the future try and remedy that in some way. I don't know through policy or something, but it's like I get a different perspective of how educators are like actually are get like just have to like deal with certain things compared to other professions.
Gotcha.
So,
How many students do you have in your classroom or classrooms? You have multiple classes.
altogether, I think I have like 97 to 100, but in like first, I have like 24, then like 15, then like 21, then like 20, then like 22 again. So it's like 97. Like, but like that's how the classes are. At the beginning of the school year, we were on hybrid schedule. So we were able and virtual. So like in my first block, I only had like on A, like they used to come Monday and like Thursday, and then Tuesday and Friday. And then Wednesday was like a day where all the teachers were able to come in and just like hold virtual sessions, like office hours to discuss like work with the students. I thought that was like a perfect schedule. Even if not pandemic time, I feel like that would be perfect just because it gave teachers like kind of like a working day, but like a relaxed working day. But like during that time, I was able to like host tutoring sessions, and like during my time, I was just like on Zoom, not Zoom, with on Teams with my students, and we were just like practicing like Punnett squares and stuff like that, just so that they can get a better understanding of it. So I like kind of went the extra mile to make sure that they like knew what was going on in the classroom. But what was the question again? I'm sorry, I got off track.
How many students you had in your classroom?
But yes, to go on the point about going back in the hybrid scheduling, like in my classroom, I had about 7, and then even in some classes, I even had 3 students, and they loved it. Like they were on it. Like my students were like able to learn everything. They were able to ask questions. They weren't like able to like be around a lot of students to like be kind of shy to ask questions. So it was like kind of perfect. And because we were only like 5 or 3 or 7 students in the classroom, they were able to like actually space out and like have some room. So like the mask thing wasn't as detrimental, like it was not that detrimental, but like as a big deal because they were in 6 feet of distance, because by CDC guidelines, if you're in 6 feet of distance, you can kind of have your mask down from someone else. But I still was strict about it regardless. Didn't care. But yeah, but now it's like 24 students, whatever. That was probably the amount of students I had within 3 periods at the beginning of the school year, not having like in one classroom. So that's like kind of a lot to handle, following 24 students in one classroom while still trying to teach, make sure they're understanding it, while also trying to make sure that they are doing the right thing and not being immature that like with our like they're teenagers. So yeah, it's a lot. So like, even like when they do like spitballs and stuff like that, that's like that's COVID. Like that's you know like it's like they do stuff like that and they don't really understand the impact of like those type of things. A lot of them can also be asymptomatic, which means like they can easily pass it on. And I have like a brand new niece at home, and I don't want to bring that back home to her. So like it's just a lot of things to just think about and like while teaching. I don't know. I definitely feel like teachers should be paid more.
I agree. It seems like you're dealing with a lot. And you touched on something of like you had a little amount of students early on when you were hybrid. They were learning so much better. What how do you think they're on now that you're back in person? Do you think your students are learning at the same pace they would? I mean, obviously it's your first year teaching. Do you think the pace of learning has slowed down since you've come back in person as opposed to being hybrid?
I actually think it's different to think like it's different because they were only coming to me 2 times a week compared to at the beginning with hybrid compared to them coming 5 times a week. Because when they were home on the days that they were hybrid, they had to like I did it to where like whatever I taught in class, it was easily able to be transferred over to like watching a video and explain it and then doing the same work we did in class. So that you will have, okay, a video day while you use interactive videos and other lessons to like help understand the information. And then when you come on Tuesday, you will be able to have in-person lecture with me and I'll just kind of review it the first 15 minutes of it. But then I will go into the lesson. And then for that lesson for the Tuesday, I will give to the other students who watch supplemental videos to understand the information. And on Wednesday, I would do like a big review to go over everything and just give like two review sessions so they can understand from me from both lessons so that they can hear me explain it to them. So that's kind of how I did it. So it was kind of, I feel like for the pace that we were going at the beginning, like it was cool, but if it was the same type of style that we have now, I feel like with the smaller class size still that they probably wouldn't be moving a little faster just because they will have more interactions and be able to catch on to stuff quicker. But because like just how the scheduling and the setup of the two different learning styles are, it's kind of like I can't like be definite like this will be the quickest or the fastest. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'll tell you when we can start again.
Okay.
Okay, we can go.
Okay, cool. And so you were hybrid, which means that there were students learning at home while you were learning, while you were teaching in person, and you had virtual students. Did you have to build relationship with parents at the beginning of the school year, and what was the process of doing that, and how was it? Were parents involved? Were they not involved? Like, how was your experience?
Like parents really weren't involved, honestly. Yeah, that was really like it. Parents really weren't involved, so it's like I didn't really have to have really interaction. But what my principal made us do at the beginning of the school year is just call parents at the beginning. Like that was like a task to call parents and call the students' parents who we thought were doing really good at the beginning of the school year. So like I was able to like start talking to parents by doing that. So I thought that was a really good thing. I was able to tell some of the parents that their students were really good, that I'm their teacher, and kind of introduce myself. So yeah, but other than that, really, unless like they get in trouble, we have to like call and stuff for like minor referrals and stuff like that. But other than that, we haven't talked to parents. So yeah, it's really funny. I was like, I know if I was in school, my mom would have been like, okay, what are y'all doing to make sure that he's okay in class, to make sure that he's like not, to make sure that he's going to be in the best area possible. But my mom would also probably have put me virtual and would have never let me go to school in the first place. She'd have probably been like, be virtual until you can't be virtual no more. So, but if my mama was like, she would have definitely called the teachers. She probably still called the teachers, so I was virtual. So
that brings up another question of just the community. What's the sentiment in the community? Because we know that, well, I don't say we know. Basically, this I'll come back on. That parents are the biggest influence on their children. So if the parents are like, "Oh, this is a hoax," or "Oh, this is a serious deal," like you need to wear your mask. What's the sentiment in your community of like what COVID is? Are people walking around with no masks on? Are people always have masks on? Is the mayor or the governor of the state saying this, that, others, or mandate? Like, what is your feeling of your community in COVID?
So I'm in southern rural Louisiana. If that lets you know what that means, then they're not wearing, like, people aren't wearing masks. People don't like think it's a hoax. Like when you go into like the stores and stuff, they're not enforcing people to wear masks. So I had to stay out of the stores anyway, or unless like I go super late at night or like super early in the morning to beat people being in there. But other than that, but at school they really try to enforce the mask thing. But like the students like hear their parents talk at home, so like they don't take it as seriously if it's coming from us, and when their parents saying that, they don't really like, it's not that serious. So they just wear their mask any kind of way, and it just like shows the ones who are serious about it, who the ones who aren't. So, but no, they're not serious about it. If that answers your question fully.
And in your classroom, when students, like, what's the disciplinary action that you take when students are like, mask is like off, or they're like playing around with friends and like, yo, y'all gotta be 6 feet apart, or they're like still tapping each other or shooting spitballs? Like, what's the process of disciplining students?
So in my whole grade period, the spitball thing has been happening. It particularly hasn't been happening in my class particularly, but I just brought that up because I know that's been happening. So I haven't had to deal with that in person, but I don't like, I just like tell them to stop and like chill out, especially just because like I'm a younger teacher. So I know like what referrals and minor referrals and all that can like add up to like school to prison pipeline. Like they're going to get written off and think that they're just bad students. So no, I don't want to add to that for like, honestly. But some of them do get to the point where it's like, okay, I have to write you up if you like curse and like about to fight. Like, like sometimes you have to like write them up because you can't, if you're reporting an incident, like what are you going to say about the incident? You have to like have it on some type of form. So yeah, or like just plain disrespect. But it's just, I just try my best not to have to write students up during this time, especially just because I know they're still getting. I feel like they're still adjusting to this pandemic and just how everything is changing. They're like tweens, so they're like really don't understand what's going on. This never happened for a lot of people, so they're all adjusting with us grown ups who are adjusting. So it's like they don't, so they're not in like a clear direction of what's going on. And then 10 months of not being in school, and then having all these restrictions now, and not having like certain activities to like express yourself. I guess like a recess or something to like let off some steam. Like I feel like that all get like weighs in on them. So I just take all that into consideration, but that's like kind of how I'm dealing with the classroom and like action in the classroom.
You made me think, when you think of pressure on students and their families and they're going home and we don't know their home situations, but have you experienced or witnessed any students or their families going through financial hardships because they might have lost their job because they're an essential worker or whatever, what it may have? Like, have you had students that are going through financial hardships? And if so, what is your school doing to help these families?
So I don't know anyone in particular. I do know that some relationships are strained right now. So I do like the ones that I know, like when they come in and have attitudes, like they usually don't act like that. I kind of pull them to the side and ask them if they're okay, and that if like they need someone to like talk to or something like that, like I'm here, or like we can get an administrator to like help or something, because I don't want their grades to fall, and it's not really their fault. Like they're dealing with regular people stuff on top of like COVID. It's just like a lot. So I just like try to like be there for them and like be like, okay, you can just like turn this in like this time, like just get yourself together. But From what I know, no, the school ain't doing nothing to help the students. As what I know, they probably are just doing behind closed doors. But honestly, no. And then I feel like the school is more focused on just like other things right now than that. Not saying that they're not focused on the students, but like there's a lot of things going on at one time. So I don't know if like that's on the forefront of what their daily things needs to be, which I think it should be. I feel like we should have some type of fund or system for public students who like have free or reduced lunch, where they do have like assistance or can get provided some type of assistance for home. But I don't think like that's a big thing right now. But that's a good question to ask because the school board still has meetings. So like that's a good question to be posed to them. Like, what can we do for students who are having financial hardships or like they can't take care of themselves? So what are we doing to make sure that their home life is good? Their parents can't really like, pay for things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry.
No,
And it's not like a CPS thing. It's more like we're in a pandemic, like we might lose a job. Like it's not because of like neglect or anything like that. So it's like, what can we do to like help those parents or like help those families? Like it's just not neglect, it's pandemic issues. So.
and have there been instances of community members, teachers, students testing positive for COVID at your school?
Yes.
And have y'all quarantined? Like so say little Johnny in the middle of your classroom sits in between everybody, tests positive for COVID. What is the next steps that your school takes to?
The people who were in 6 feet of that student, fit like 15 feet, like they get quarantined. But I feel like everyone kind of should be quarantined if we're like all in the same boxed up classroom for a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
So those people get quarantined, and then like the school follows CDC protocol and doesn't say which student was tested or whatever. But it's just like, And what about the people that like wasn't informed about whatever student, because we don't know like if they actually were in close contact with a student or not? Like they can always be in close contact just by like being in the stairwell or like actually being in the classroom because a teacher had to step out and they had to be in there. So they were like standing in the classroom by the student for a certain amount of time. So it's like small things like that. Like what if they sneezed or coughed and you weren't even there for 15 minutes, but you were in the vicinity of that cough and you breathe it in? Like all that just be running through my head. So I feel like a lot of the ways that like people are notified is probably not the best way. Like it could be improved, but yeah.
And
I don't know if I can say all this. I don't know if like this is okay to say either, but I feel like it's I don't know, whatever.
do you know of any teachers?
Check that out.
Do you know of any teachers testing positive? And if a teacher is out, are other teachers required to cover their classes? Are there substitute teachers that come in? What is that process like?
Yeah, substitute teachers come in, or we have parents that go in and just watch the class. But while they're in there, the teacher has like work for them to do, like daily work that like matches up with the lesson for that day. But it's just like it needs to be like easily be done by the students, where the substitute doesn't have to like be very strained and like confused about how to do this lesson. So it's just like give them the lesson, give the students there, and they're basically just watching students do their work, which I think is fine. Like, or like if they can talk to each other across the classroom, I kind of let my students do that since they can't like be next to each other. So like some type of collaborative effort, like we have to like try somewhere to like make sure that they're still getting basic need. I mean, like I don't know how to put it, like basic things to like learn how to study, like collaborative work. So.
Mm-hmm. And if little Johnny gets sent home and are you now responsible for teaching him virtually? How does he get his lessons if he and then 5 people who are within 15 feet of him have to be quarantined? Are you like recording your lessons for them? Are you on Zoom or whatever video call software y'all use?
No, I'm not doing none of that. The only thing I am doing is sending them work to do at home that they're able to do and like be able to turn in. I'm not doing extra lessons or anything like that. Um, so I'm not required to do that. I just sit and work home, and then they do that, and they come back. But most times, I just let them be home in quarantine, and then when they come back, they can just like work on the work as we go through. Because most of the times, the way the lessons are set up anyway, these lessons like span over time. So about time like with 2 weeks or something like that, or a week. By the time they come back, we're still like halfway within the lesson, so they're able to be catch up or like get extra help or and they get an additional extension from me. So like it just kind of works out. So none of my students have like fallen behind. I just kept that same method. But things that they can do at home, I give it to them to do at home. But things that I know like, okay, we're doing the lab today. You won't understand that. I'm not gonna give you the lab work.
Gotcha.
So
And earlier you said students have laptops. Did y'all have laptops? Obviously, this is your first year. So this is the first year students have had laptops.
ever. Yes.
How in they're learning in the classroom, they're on their laptops, correct?
Yes, they all have to use their laptops in my class because we use this program called iQuest. So with science, eighth grade science, we are teaching these lessons from this, which is like the program is amazing. Like I wish I had this. Like I taught them how to do like balance equations for chemistry. Like they have like we just finished our chemistry unit and they're doing what I was in 11th grade like the first time. So like now they know how to balance equations. They just took their test and a lot of them like really understood what was going on. So like as eighth graders, they're doing things that I did in 11th grade and freshman year of college, like in chemistry. So I was just like, okay, cool. Like they're learning more stuff at an earlier age, and they can build on top of that as they get older. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. So they're on their laptops fully. Right now, I don't think they use them like all the time for every class, but for my class, they use them. They're able to take them home. They have chargers at home. They gave them sleeves for them, like protective cases. Uh, but the laptops like break easily. So a lot of students have been damaging the laptops. And if they break the laptop, it's $500 when the laptop is like worth $100. So it's okay. I don't know if it's really worth $100, but it looks like it's worth $100 based off of the quality that I know $500 laptops could be. Unless now those type of laptops are $500 and that's just what it is. But yeah, they have HP laptops. Um, and a thing that I realized with these laptops is a lot of students didn't have computers at home. So they weren't able to like get on computer, actually learn how to type, like actually learn how to actually use the function of a computer. And even families, I know some of my students told me that their parents use the laptop to like pay bills online or like do other things like that they couldn't do before. Like so, it's like they even get on Zoom with their like family members or something like that. Like they don't have phones at home, so it's like that's like their way to communicate. So it's just like kind of look how that's a big necessity that students need. That I'm glad that was provided for them this school year. So
And
yeah.
was there a time like you guys started excuse me, you guys started hybrid. Was there a moment when like a week or so when they had to like teach students how to use computers? Like was that a thing? Or do y'all just like, here's your computer, we're just gonna start learning? Like how did that happen for them to get up to speed on using computers?
Honestly, like when the students got the computer, they knew what they were doing.
Okay.
I think that they're old enough to understand like how to use it. I think like a lot of them are understand like how to use a computer because they have computers in the school already. They just used them whenever they went to like the library and stuff. But I think they did give them a crash course on how to like the proper way to like use their computers and how to use Teams, the function that we use to like have virtual lessons and where they can get some assignments and turn in assignments and like chat with like if they have like questions for me, I have like a study hall for them and they can ask questions with each other, remind each other for homework that they have due. So like they can chat and like have conversations in there. But yeah, yep.
Okay, that's great. That there wasn't a huge learning curve, that they kind of already got it. So I want to ask you, what has been like a highlight moment for you this semester?
Hmm. A highlight moment. Okay, I probably can't say the student's name, but a highlight moment of the semester was me being told that I'm their favorite teacher. I'm the student's favorite teacher because I've actually given them the opportunity to like become a better student. Because this student, like usually, I guess, was always borderline between A's and B's in classes, and like never felt validated in classes from teachers. So I guess I make the student feel validated, and she kind of just like let me know that, and like she has like an A in my class, like the highest A in all my classes. So and she's also a Black girl. So it's just like kind of nice to see that I'm actually making an impact. Because I tell her all the time that like I see her like going to like school. Like I talk about Xavier all the time, and like she's interested in Xavier. I'm just like you can go there and be like a great person, like a great asset for that university. Like, and you will be able to be anything you want to. So like it's just like kind of nice to be able to reaffirm these students that they are good enough and able to like leave where we're from and like be something. So I feel like that was probably one of the most memorable moments of the semester. Like it showed me that okay, Kendale, you're doing something right. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge. One, that you're able to tap. We used to call it when I was in college. You tap a student to like let them know like you are becoming.
Mhm.
You can do this. You are valuable. You are worthy. You can do anything you put your mind to. But a lot of people, adults don't even realize like they need that reassurance from somebody else looking from the outside. Like, yo, you're doing well. You're doing great. Keep it up. Like that is huge, and we need to realize that students need that still. Um, and especially as you said earlier, you want to be an influence as a Black teacher to Black students. I mean, all students, but also for
Right.
Black students who don't see themselves in teachers to see you and say, "Oh, wow! Like he can do this, I can do this." Like
Right.
have a shining example of somebody from their community being able to go on and do great things. And so I want to also ask you on the flip side, what has been a low moment for you this semester as a first year student teaching during the pandemic?
Shane, honestly, there has been so many low moments. I'm trying to put them in order to figure out which one I want to share because it's just been a mess, Shane. Honestly, like some moments is just like we like as Black teachers we deal with, how can I put it? We deal with racism, we deal with bad kids, we deal with just not being treated the same as everyone else, and like it's just like having all that on top of COVID, on top of having to switch around like your daily routine, like to try and figure out how you're gonna make us like to make sure that you're teaching students what you need to. It's like all of that on top of each other, plus like regular basic stuff that you go through as a Black American already. It's just kind of a lot. So it's just showing me a lot within the education system. Um, so yeah, I just want to. I feel like that's like all I'm going to say about like my low moment because that just summarizes all of them together. Um, so yeah, but I know that it could be better, and I see ways that it could be changed, like within policy and stuff, like just to make sure that every student is getting the same fair treatment, and to make sure that like every student is being accounted for, because that's like a thing that I've been seeing too. Like students can do like the same exact thing, but one gets in trouble more than the other just based off of certain things. And it's just like I see it, and I'm older now, and I'm able to like understand that. But it's like, what can we do to make things like that not happen? So like all that summarizes like my low moments, and like I don't know. So yeah, yep. Also want to add, also being a Black student, growing up in this area is just like kind of I don't know if it's a good like a validating moment. Like what I did experience going through junior high and high school was not like something that was just like made up. It was like a real life thing that is just like getting reproduced over and over again that holds Black students back. So I was able to see that, like, because as you know, I was like the only Black student in like honors classes and stuff growing up. So it's just like being in that space. It's just like okay, everything that I was dealing with or going through wasn't just okay, I'm just being over dramatic. Like some things just that's just by design and that's just how it happens. So I kind of want to change that. So like those are like some of the summarizing of the low moments.
Gotcha. And March, May, April, June, July, August, September, October, and then until election, we had a resurgence of a focus on Black Lives Matter and a focus on anti-racism and a focus on those issues because instances were continue to happen. Black people were killed by police. Have you had to have conversations with your students, with your colleagues, with your administration about racism in your school? And I'll leave that one and I'll come to my next question afterwards. So have you had to have conversations about racism at your school?
Yes, I have, and I've also been kind of reprimanded about it.
Tell me more.
So apparently one of my students was standing was not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then some of the other students were saying that she should stand up for the pledge. And this other student also is in my homeroom class. But they were, and then so she was just like being told things, and like the teacher wasn't like I guess hearing what was being told, but it's apparently it made her cry. And then like I had asked her about it because I was like, she's usually not. So I was like, oh, what was wrong? Whatever. And then she just like kind of broke down and then just like told me that students were like making small remarks to her. Students were making small remarks to her because she was can we pause this real quick?
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So the student was upset because the students were making remarks about her not standing up for the pledge, and she was like, she know her rights. She doesn't want to stand like her parent, like her one of her parents was in the army. Like she understands the significance of the flag and stuff like that, but she also understands the importance of being Black in America. So like she explained it to me like that. I'm like, dang, was this how it was in junior high? Like these students are like way more like into it than like how we was growing up. So that happened, and I just kind of just reaffirmed for her that don't worry about it. I will like handle the situation because we were told over the like by the school that they don't have to stand up for the pledge. So I just like reemphasize that to my students, like we do not bully or like we do not talk about other students because of this. And so I just reemphasize that if somebody has an issue or something's like going on, just let me know and I'll handle it. So I was like talked to about it, and I was just told that someone came in like said that I did that, and I was just like, okay. And I was like, isn't that what like the principal said to do? Like that's literally what she said to do in the intercom. Like you don't have to stand up for the pledge because that's your right, like to as your freedom of speech. And so me saying that I will handle it, it was sounding like a threat instead of it sounding like I would handle the situation instead of a student having to argue with a teacher and get in trouble or with another student, and I will handle the situation and go to the uppers. But it's just like the first thought that you thought was like an attack instead of like actually trying to like mediate the situation. So it's just like interesting how people minds think and just go to certain things. So that was an instance. What else? Especially during election time, my students, we can't talk about like politics or stuff in the classroom. So my students were having a discussion about like they kept looking at the count go up and down for the election, and then they were just having a conversation. One of my Black students, she's a girl, she was just like saying how it's not fair how the election, like nothing happens to non-Black students, like or non-people of color students. A lot of stuff don't happen to them like whenever election outcome happens. Like, but whatever the outcome was going to happen with the election was going to affect her as a Black girl. And so like she was very adamant on like expressing that and stuff. And so she was having arguments. Well, not arguments. They were having, I wouldn't say arguments because they're all like been going to school together since 5th grade. So like they're all like friends. So they're just like going back and forth about the situation. But she was like making, and then like another student, she's a white girl. She just like kind of stood up for her, like they, like her and the black girl are like best friends. So she kind of stood up for her friend and was just like, and unpacked what Black Lives Matter stood for, because they started to get in that conversation. Because it's like the conversation that they had coming into the classroom while I was on duty. So like I can hear it, but I was like in the middle of the hallway trying to monitor traffic. But she kind of broke it down for them, explaining what Black Lives Matter was, and then like some of them understood it, some of them didn't. But it's just like kind of cool to see like how things like that are actually happening in my community, not just like in more liberal areas. So it's like happening in more conservative areas too, where people of different races are like able to back each other up in that instance. So like those are like just some of the instances that has happened. I don't want to share other ones just because I don't think like I should, but like we can talk about it off of this, but for this purpose, I don't think I'm gonna share it. But yeah.
We'll move on to technology. What are y'all using? Y'all using computers? You're using Teams? Like, can you explain what software and programs y'all are using to teach?
We use Teams software. That's Microsoft Teams. It helps us have virtual live sessions. You can have like it set up to like a classroom where everyone is like the teachers in the front and everybody else is like in pews. In the classroom, I'm able to share my screen. I'm able to work on my Promethean board and do like different writing things that they can like interact with and see. Uh, Teams also has a function where we can chat with students as well as post and edit assignments. What I really like about Teams is that they're able to use their phones with it. Like there's an app for Teams on your phone, so you can like do assignments on your phone, like if you have the Word app and just turn it in kind of. So I think that's a pretty cool function because it makes it easier for students to do that. Like if they don't have a computer, like they might have a phone, so they might can use their phone to do it. So I think that's a really cool option. But I can have conferences with parents on Teams. Like I set up a conference, and we can have a virtual conference. What else? Yeah, and they have like a lot of different functions that just happens where I can just like virtually teach. So I really like the Teams function. Other than that, we use like Kahoot to play games, like games to like prepare for tests or to like just build a different understanding of information. I use iQuest. That's a new science software that the district has adopted to teaching. Instead of using like hard books, they all like their book and all of their lessons and stuff is on the computer. So I think that's really cool. So yeah, I feel like with that, a lot of things are becoming easier to not be like wasted. Like there's not a lot of wasted paper now, especially in my class. We barely use paper. They're able to do like science experiments all the time. So like they have their laptops and able to have them in the lab while they're doing their science experiments to where it's like they're learning things hands-on still, even though it's a pandemic, but they have their mask on, they have their goggles on, they have their gloves on. So it's like they're protected. And I make sure that they like stay socially distanced and stuff. So we're able to do those type of things. So iQuest, Teams, and Kahoot are probably like the main things that we use in the classroom for my class specifically. So yeah.
Okay. And so you have teachers, y'all are in classrooms, y'all probably aren't meeting in person. What are y'all doing to stay connected to kind of like share strategies to work with certain students or kind of just keep in touch with each other?
I don't think my school's morale with teachers are like the same as like others. We have like our little small groups where we interact with each other. Like in my smaller group of like people I interact with, like we always like sharing information. Like we probably talk probably almost every day. We share information, especially us having like almost the same amount of students or like same interactions with students. It's like easier to understand like if a student's going through something, like we might be able to like know it so that we can actually look out for that student or like try and help as well. So I like that type of environment. Other than that, we get daily reminders from our principal like every Sunday and like a weekly buzz email, like just a supportive email, something like that. every Sunday, or probably it's every day. I don't know. I feel like it's every Sunday, but yeah, it's some type of pickup morale. But like other than that, we don't do anything else outside of that. Also, it's a pandemic, so a lot of like gatherings and stuff like that probably won't happen. So like there probably will be less communication.
Got it. What are your hopes for next semester as a teacher in your second semester of teaching?
I hope we go back to virtual / hybrid scheduling. With the cases rising, I definitely feel like we need to make sure that these students are healthy because a lot of students have been out because of COVID and teachers. I feel like that would help bring the numbers down, especially in our area. So making the students go virtual will probably be the best thing for me. Not for me, but like, like just to feel the most comfortable being in the pandemic while teaching, like honestly, and making sure that everyone like is safe. So that's what I see. Also, it's only like they're still in their second semester. They have like 3 weeks left after that. We don't get out until June this year. So like the first week of June. So I have to teach up until June. So it's just like all of an adjustment. I've been in school like the past 7 years and I've been out of school like beginning of May. So it's like school in May and June, like I don't know her. So so yeah. I really hope that like over this break, a lot of things were able to be like thought about and what things we can change and make better for the students. I hope that was taken into consideration to make sure that we come into the new year with a fresh start, some better policy, some better mandating around the school, making sure that every teacher wears a mask at all times, because that's not a thing that's been happening.
Wait,
Yeah,
excuse me. Huh?
you heard me. So making sure that all that stuff happens.
No, we're not going to skip over that. So there are teachers who are not wearing masks in your school.
Yes, there's like some people who don't wear masks at all.
Okay. Okay. A little surprising. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't have any questions to follow up. It's kind of just it's a yes or no statement. Answer.
You can give a moment of silence when you want to because I think it's crazy too. And like it's like that's how I know sometimes it's not like taking that seriously, even though like it might like. So I feel like I didn't see that. It's not like all teachers are doing that. Like it's like probably like two people. It's not even like all teachers though. It's like two people within the school who don't like or like yeah don't wear masks all the time. It's more than two actually. So yeah. So it's just like if the students see that and you're telling them to do one thing and then you're doing another, like how can they take it seriously and how can you enforce it? That's my thing. Like they see they're young, but they're not naive or dumb. Like they see like they see when they like being played. Like okay, how can you do it? But I can't. Like yeah, I understand you're older, but like what type of example are you setting for me to be a better student if you can't even do it?
Okay, so one, are masks not mandated by the school? Two, if so, what is the reprimand for these teachers, or are they like saying there's a medical exemption? Like, how does this even allow to happen?
Has become a normalized thing to where it like little people hits, and I feel like people are not worrying about it. I don't know. They're like, "This is not my business. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna get in trouble." Like that. It's like walking on it. I don't know. Eggshells, kind
Okay, well, we'll just keep on going. How has COVID affected your family?
of. COVID has affected my family. People in my family have gotten COVID. Very close to me has gotten COVID. I haven't had it particularly, but my mom, my sister had. I wasn't gonna name them, but my mom and sister had it. My sister was actually pregnant when she had it, so it was just like a lot going on. And I seen what they went through. So seeing what they went through, it just makes it more serious for me and like how I handle this. Just because like they could have easily went 2 degrees higher than what they was and not be here no more. So it's just like that serious for me, like that, like going into like wanting to go into the medical field and understanding to believe in science and whatnot. It's just like, okay, you were like this close to just it going down the wrong way. Like it going down the wrong way. So it's just like, yeah, COVID has affected my family greatly. Apart, of course, you're my cousin, so you understand our family, like what's been going on. So it's just, crazy. It's just this is like happening right now, but it's like we've had the resources to kind of fight it, but like they're not, like our government's not doing the right thing to do that. So it's kind of hard for the public to do stuff that they don't have the resources to do things. So it's just like all, like thinking of all that and like still having to teach is just like a lot. I didn't expect it to be like this stressful.
Yeah.
But I'm making.
You really just hit something I was going to ask you. Like you're like perfectly positioned as when you're a science teacher, you have a history of you went to school and you majored in, I think, in biology, and you went to a pre-med school and did more medical stuff. And now it's a pandemic, so you understand more than the average person does, like what these numbers mean, the data behind it. And then you also have the situation where your mother and your sister had COVID. How does that all play into how you teach your kids? Like teach them science, but also kind of incorporate COVID-19 into your teaching. Like you have a personal experience, you have a medical background-ish or a biology background, and you're teaching science. Like, are you able to use all that to bring a different aspect of your teaching to your students?
Yes. But I don't come from that standpoint. I understand that a lot of the jargon that I probably would use and like terminology I would use wouldn't make sense. So like I just break it down for them like in their terms. So like I'll probably use like a real life example to like make them understand what's going on in regards to COVID. Because I feel like I always have to give like a breakdown like 2 times a week. Like it feels like a broken record about how they can expose COVID to themselves and like how it like how it travels, like how it gets stuck in the like this canal right here, this cavity, ENT cavity, your nose and throat. So it's just like trying to explain to them about like the mask and like sagging, like bringing up sagging, like if you bring your nose down to sag, like that's a bad thing because you're exposing your nose how you don't want to expose your butt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like trying to break it down like that for them, but I don't know. I don't think they understand, but it's like still like it's more dramatic than anything just because of how our community isn't taking it seriously. And going back to like how they see adults taking the pandemic, how serious they're seeing adults taking the pandemic. So it's kind of like, okay, we're doing it, but I don't want to do it all the way, if that makes sense. So I can say it and explain it over and over again as much as I want to, but it's not working as much as I want it to.
And with all that, having multiple family members have COVID, and you're teaching and you're like you're in a box every day with a bunch of students, probably way too many students.
A box within a box. I said box within a box because the school is still a box too. Yeah.
So what are you doing to work on your mental health and keep your mental health up?
I've been reading a lot. I feel like I've been reading a lot, and I've also been back in the gym since September. That's literally the time where we started teaching because we got pushed back a month because of the pandemic. But honestly, I have a routine that I follow that it makes it hard not to think a lot about a lot of stuff that's going on. So it's like a routine that I have that I just consistently be in, where I don't have to like really have to deal with like more strenuous mental health things.
And where did it go? Your career. You want to go into medical school after this. So this would be your one and only year. Is that the plan? And has anything changed with the pandemic for your career plan?
No, this is my one and only year. I plan on teaching. Regardless of what happens next, I really feel like this is my one and only year teaching at this school. I won't be returning back. I feel like by the time I'm done teaching, I would have done enough to actually help as much as I could, while still trying to follow my own passion of what I want to do. So I do see this as being my only year, but I do might see myself going back into possible higher education after getting my because I want to go to osteopathic medical school, so I want to get a DO, and then go back to school and like possibly policy making, like in education or something like that, to reinforce what I said at the beginning about seeing what I can change and actually like implementing that into like my experience, like having this experience and implementing that into making better experiences for students in the future. So that's what I see myself doing, or even teaching within like the medical field. Like, like in those schools, I have prophytes within my fraternity who are like professors and stuff who had similar situations of going through medical school, like not going straight out of college, taking some time off and stuff. So, and they still went into academia within medical schools and just higher education in general. So yeah, I want to be on those boards where I'm able to like say yes to the student. Like I was a student, yes, they can do it. Like being in those spaces to make sure that people are able to elevate themselves. So yep, that's my future plans. And so I see going for my future. But no, I don't see myself teaching again.
Okay. Well, those are all of my questions. I have some Instagram submitted questions I'm going to ask you, and then some shorter questions. These questions can be as long or as short. Your answers can be as long or short as you want them to be. My first question is from somebody is, are you okay?
Am I okay? Yes, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay. How do you think the pandemic has widened the opportunity gap for your students?
Can you repeat that question?
How has the pandemic widened the opportunity gap for your students?
The what for my students? I'm sorry.
Opportunity gap?
Oh, I think that like that's big, like that's huge. Just because like a lot of students, like I feel like they distress by playing sports and like having that having that type of positivity that goes on with like all of that, like even being in band. So like students aren't being able to play like their instruments, like they're having to all be like percussionists because they're not able to like blow into their instruments. I would have like had a heart attack. Like I would have like passed out if I wasn't able to play my trumpet uh in school. So like I can just understand what they're like kind of going through, but not having those extracurricular activities to like participate in. So I feel like that type of opportunity gap is lacking for them, because I feel like this is a great stage in their lives where they like pick up on things that they actually like and continue to do those things. But if they don't have like the access or the opportunity to do that, then it kind of like made like, okay, I probably don't like this because I can't do it anyway. So why keep at it? So yeah, so like from an extracurricular standpoint, even like doing clubs and stuff in school, like having leadership positions, like I feel like that's opportunity gaps that students are missing out on during the pandemic right now too. So yeah, I've even had opportunity gaps just based off of this past summer where I was supposed to be in a summer program. But I wasn't able to do it in person. I had to do it virtually. But like that was like an opportunity gap to not be able to be in face with professors and medical students. So yeah, so I definitely feel like there's an opportunity gap for my students right now. But we're definitely working on ways to change that, because students are like able to do visible right now. They're able to do like stuff that's like within social distancing measures, but like other things, like it doesn't, just because certain students are able to do things doesn't mean all students have opportunity or access. So,
Gotcha. How can individuals help education? And when I say that, I mean like, how can I help? How can Susie down the street help? How can people who are not involved in education help?
I feel like people who aren't involved in education can help by supporting teachers. Like literally, if you have a teacher or you know a teacher, just even words of encouragement would be like a great thing to do to like just make sure like that they're okay, because I'm probably not as like down with my mental health things, just because I have like certain things that I personally do that makes my mental health stay under control. But some people don't have those tools at their disposal. So I feel like checking in on teachers that you know, or just like sending an email, or like just checking on like even checking on your actual students to make sure that they're doing fine will be better for the teacher, because that means that in the classroom they won't have to worry about that. Well, they're going to worry about the student, but like won't have to like be stressed about like attitudes, or like just doing their work in general, or like just wanting to make sure that they pass or something. Like actually being in their lives, like just checking on that student or a student that you know, like that would be beneficial too. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Have schools help provide resources for anti-racism courses or curriculum?
No.
Okay.
And that's problematic. That's a no, and that's problematic. But that's just the short term. No.
Do you feel that your health was disregarded?
During the pandemic at school?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I feel like because we have some people who don't wear masks, like how is my health being taken full, like how are you taking full accountability for my health and making sure that I'm as safe as I can to be teaching these students? So it's just like certain things that y'all are letting slide and that y'all not doing just doesn't make me feel as comfortable as what I should be as a teacher right now.
Okay. Those are all of the Instagram submitted questions that apply to you. I do have a few fun questions that are 1-word answers or 1 to 2-word answers. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
What was your favorite subject in school?
History.
Favorite dish to cook or eat?
Fried catfish. Oh, catfish.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing professionally?
Oh, that's only one or 2 words.
I mean, what profession would you be in?
Probably the fashion industry, or if I can really choose, probably the fashion industry, or I'll probably be like an archaeologist.
Let's just be a doctor.
Huh? You said if I couldn't choose to be a doctor.
If you couldn't do what you're doing now, right now you're a teacher.
Oh, I'm thinking you're talking about the future. Oh yeah, be a doctor, of course. I'm thinking you're talking about like in my future profession, whatever I want to do, like what would I do? Okay, yeah, doctor, of course.
Oh, okay. I guess he doesn't really want to be a doctor. Got it. Okay. Best gift you've ever given or received?
This is hard. Okay, best gift. Oh, best gift I've ever given was my college degree to my mama.
Okay. If you could only eat one vegetable for the rest of your life, what vegetable would it be?
String beans.
Is a potato a vegetable or not?
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's a starch.
Okay. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
So you asked this question, but I would say yes, just because I like am greedy and I'm like, okay, it's cool, it's sweet and savory. But in real life, I probably would never order pineapple on pizza ever. But if it's in front of me, sure, I'm not. But I'm not spending my money on it.
What's the most extreme thing you've ever done?
Keep it PG. What's the most extreme thing I've ever done? I'm trying to think. What have I done that's extreme? I don't really have an answer to that one. Let me think. How fast do I have to answer this?
I mean, we got time.
Okay.
I can come back to it.
Let's come back to this because I'm thinking of things, but they're like rated R, so I'm not going to say that on camera.
PG-13.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I have to think hard about this. Because I have some things I can say, but no.
Do you live by any mantras, and if so, what's one of them?
Be be yourself and don't let nobody change who you are. Um, what else? I have a lot of mantras, but it's just like I don't really say them out loud, but it's just the way I feel. I also feel that if you feel like you need to speak up at a certain time, you should do that no matter the repercussions, just because your voice matters. I also believe that Black women need to be protected always. Protect Black women, protect Black trans women always. They're the most disrespected people in the country and the world, but their aesthetic is what everybody wants. So that's my mantra. I want to protect Black women and to make sure that they're okay. Because I can like every day I see how like they're treated. So like those are my things. I don't know if those are really mantras, but like those are just like things that I go by every day.
Okay.
So.
What do you think you spent too much money on?
Food.
How would your best friends describe you in one word?
Dramatic.
Okay. If you could recommend a book, a podcast, and a TV series, or a movie, what would it be?
I will recommend the Double Dutch podcast. That's my podcast that I do with my best friend, Marcus. A TV series that I would suggest is Lovecraft Country. Love it so much. A short film would be I Live Here by Shane T. Watson. And what else? A song that I would probably recommend is School and Life by Beyonce. I don't know if you said that or not about the song, but I love Beyonce and School and Life is my favorite song.
It's a great song. And a great artist, obviously. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Mm-mm. Oh, why did I get married?
Interesting. Best vacation you've ever taken?
Puerto Rico with you. In what year was that? 2016?
Yeah.
Yep.
What is important for those who do not know you personally to know about you?
Say that again.
What is important for people who do not know you personally to know about you?
That my don't let my smile fool you, because I can't get active.
Okay. What is the most extreme thing you've ever done?
Okay. Okay. Let me be serious. A lot of people, when they first meet me, they think that I can be like intimidating. I don't know why. I guess it's because I'm like kind of freakishly huge. But I can be a very soft person, or a very empathetic person, like a very big empath. So a lot of people don't know that about me, just because of like kind of how my persona or like my hard shell kind of comes off. That some people think that I have, but sometimes like I can really be like a big softie. So.
Okay. But don't try you because you get active. Got
it. Please stop.
What's the most extreme thing you've ever done?
Okay, yes. This is probably the most extreme thing I ever done. So my second time going to Puerto Rico, it was like 5 p.m. or like 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and we were going into the mountains. And I don't know why this just came into my head. So we got an Uber to go to the mountains to like try and like hike or whatever. But like it was like late. So when we were in the mountains, like there's no like Uber to like get you like if you like stuck up there. So like you would have to like kind of walk down. So the Uber driver kind of stayed with us the whole time. But if it was anybody else, like we would have been like we were in it wasn't a foreign country, but we were in a different area that we weren't used to, and we trusted an Uber driver to make sure we made it back. We just like requested him to come back. But that could have went very, very differently.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it, I don't know why that popped up in my head, but yeah. But he stayed there the whole time. He like gave us like 40 like an hour to like sightsee and stuff like that. And then like we just requested another Uber whenever we made it back down the mountain because there like wasn't no service. and then we requested him to go back. So shout out to him wherever he is.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before we finish this interview?
Yes, I do want to share something. Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter. Also want to say thank you for inviting me to have this discussion and this conversation, because sometimes people's voices feel like they might not be heard, but if you give people an opportunity to like actually express themselves and like be able to hold conversations like this, I feel like we can move a little further. So like, thank you for this experience. So, and yeah.
No problem. Thank you for sitting down to talk with me. If you want to follow you on social media, where can they do that at, if you would like to share? If not, don't worry about
it. You can follow me on social media at Double Dutch Podcast. That is THEDOUBLE DUTCH pod POD, and that's on Twitter and Instagram. And you can just hear more opinions that I have.
Cool. Again, thank you as a teacher for all that you do for the students, for the future of our country, because you and other teachers are really influencing our future leaders and future whatever they decide to be. You guys are going above and beyond during this pandemic. When your health, to me, seems to be disregarded a lot of the time, you're in a particularly difficult area to work in as a teacher, because you're in person, because you're in a community that's not really taking COVID as seriously as other communities are, and that community just should be. So I want to thank you for kind of putting your life on the line to help our students become, because they are our students, they are the future humans, they're the future leaders of our country. So thank you so much for doing this interview, and thank you for all that you do in your school.
No problem at all. I'm glad, I will gladly come back again if you want to have another discussion.
Okay, we might have to do that once you no longer, next summer, we might have to do that.
Right.
All right, well, you have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Peace.